From the outset, my client, Mr. Praveen Hallappanavar, set out a very detailed version of his events as to what happened to his late wife at University College Hospital, Galway. As the evidence has unfolded over the last 8 days, you can see for yourselves that he has been vindicated in that his version of events has been proven to be correct. Mr. Hallappanavar has, since the date of death of his wife, been in pursuit of the truth, and he will continue to pursue the truth as to what has happened. We know, as the evidence unfolded, there was demonstrated clearly a significant number of failures and shortcomings in the care and management and treatment of Savita Hallappanavar at University College Hospital, Galway. We know, as the coroner has indicated, he's made a number of recommendations, but we ourselves know and saw and heard under cross-examination the poor communication that took place between the members of the staff in the treatment of Savita. We know that there were very poor records, and indeed in some instances no records at all kept. We know that tests were not followed up. We know that certain tests weren't conducted at all. We know that documents were not read. We know that files and charts were not looked at, all of which were, in my opinion and the opinion of my client, very significant in terms of the treatment which he should have received. We know that there was retrospective notes entered, which the coroner had made recommendations should not occur again. We know that there was inappropriate treatment in terms of antibiotics, which we have heard the microbiologist indicate a more rigorous regime of antibiotics should be administered early on Wednesday morning. All of these failures and shortcomings, taken individually, as Dr. Boylan said, did not contribute to her death, but in our opinion, all of them taken together had a significant impact. They delayed her treatment, and delayed treatment ultimately and unfortunately resulted in her death. In an instance such as this, time is of the essence. When time is of the essence, we use it in the legal profession for conveyancing matters. Time is of the essence. This was a medical emergency. We know that in the early hours of Wednesday morning, my apologies, Savita Hallappanavar was diagnosed with sepsis. We also know from Dr. Boylan that every hour counted, and so time was of the essence. There was a significant delay in her being treated early that morning, and we know from Dr. Boylan that one moved towards 6% mortality as every hour went by. This was a serious and shocking mismanagement of Savita Hallappanavar at University College Hospital, Galway. From the date of her admission on the 21st of October until her tragic and untimely death on the 28th of October. Savita Hallappanavar was, in my opinion, deprived of and denied proper medical treatment when it was urgent. She should have been given it, and she was denied it. There was no intervention in the treatment of Savita Hallappanavar until such time as the fetal heart stopped. Sadly, when that intervention came, it was by the team of the ICU and the HDU, whom my client unreservedly wants to thank them very much for their help. This was, as I mentioned, a medical emergency. There are two types of intervention, from what I can understand as a solicitor. One was that there should have been a surgical intervention, or alternatively a medical intervention. It was contemplated at 2 o'clock on Wednesday that there would be a form of medical intervention for the purpose of induction. In my opinion, that was too late, and early in the morning, had there been surgical intervention, Savita Hallappanavar may be alive today. Savita Hallappanavar had requested, as her husband indeed also on Monday and Tuesday, that she should be granted a termination which was not documented, but which would have been life-saving. She was not acceded this request, and sadly, because of that, she is not here with us today. It's an extremely worrying situation for women in Ireland that should go to a hospital suffering from a miscarriage and to be told that they must wait until they are gravely ill or until the baby is delivered before there will be medical intervention should they be suffering from sepsis. It is an extremely alarming situation, and I would hope, following the recommendations of the coroner to the Medical Council, that there would be an urgent review of this situation to ensure it would not happen again. I would also be of the opinion that the legislature should look at this, that the government should look at this and ensure that if legislation is required to ensure that something like this would never happen again, that it would be done so with extreme urgency. In my opinion, Savita Hallappanavar had been deprived of her constitutional right to life, her right to be treated in a hospital, and there has been a significant breach of human rights. Finally, in concluding, I also want to say of my own client, Mr. Praveen Hallappanavar, who stood by his wife day and night for 7 days during from the 21st of October to the 28th of October and watched her deteriorating. He too has a right. His right was to be told what was happening, and his right was to be communicated and properly advised as to what treatment was being given to his wife. Thank you very much.
Praveen, will you now look at taking further action, maybe in Europe?
Yes, indeed.
Praveen, can I ask you, your solicitor said there that you'll continue to pursue the truth. Do you believe the outcome of this inquest means people have been held accountable?
Yes.
Have we asked you to outline how you're feeling now and how the past week has been on you?
Well, to be frank, I knew, I had seen it all. I mean, I don't think, in my opinion, Savita was not benefited in any way going to the hospital until the 24th afternoon, which was too late. The care she received was in no way different to staying home. So medicine is all about preventing the natural history of the disease and improving patients' life and health. And look what they did. She was just left there to die. We were always kept in the dark. If Savita would know that her life was at risk, she would have jumped off the bed and sought a different hospital, which was we were never told about it. And it's horrendous, it's barbaric and inhuman the way Savita was treated in that hospital.
Praveen, what lessons do you believe can be learned from the event?
Well, always get a second opinion and keep asking questions. Just don't give your life in the hands of the medics.
Are you satisfied with today's verdict?
There are still some questions that need to be answered. I'm still not convinced, or I haven't got my answers yet. Why Savita died.
Why do you think Savita died?
I think it's, in our case, all I can comment is based on Savita's case. I think it was much simple. They could have intervened right from day one, because they knew that the fetus is inevitable. So why wait?
Praveen, can you tell us? Senior counsel said that you go home now to a cold and lonely place. Can I ask you, how do you live now from day to day without your wife? Would you stay in Ireland? Might you go back to India? How do you cope?
Well, I do have a responsibility. Savita's parents, I owe to them. I owe to Savita. They want to know the truth, so I will get to the bottom of the truth. And there is no way looking back. And I haven't really thought about going back at the minute.
Praveen, are you able to describe for us how you felt today as the jury returned their verdict?
Well, in fairness, it's the jury is like a layman, thinking who don't have any medical background or anything. So yes, I am, in a way, I know where they are coming from. So it's not that easy to understand the guidelines and to go through all that. It's been a full busy week of inquest. So yeah, I know, I understand the complexity of it.
What did you think of the HSE?
It was taking you further on your quest for justice that you heard the verdict?
Oh, well, of course, as I said, it's not, I haven't got all the answers yet, so I will, take it further.
Who do you feel is to blame? Is it the law, the country, the hospital staff? How can you?
That's what I want to know. That's one of the questions I'm asking.
You wanted jury to hold someone accountable. What did you want from the jury to do?
Basically, that's what the family wants. You know, I was talking to Savita's father. He was asking me, somebody has to take the responsibility. When a patient walks in, you can't just blame, you know, the midwife blames the consultant blames the law. It's never going to end. You know what I mean? So it's somebody has to take the ownership of a patient when they walk in the hospital.
Do you think it is possible to nail this down and find the answer?
Well, I am optimistic, and let's hope for the best. That's what I can say.
What's the next step, Praveen, in terms of the legal issues?
Well, we will consider. We'll sit back and see, you know, what's the next step. Also, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Gardi, the coroner, and the jury. You know, it's been a very a busy week and a very busy schedule as well, I suppose. So, and also would like to thank all my friends. You know, I think I've been very fortunate enough to have some of the best friends. You know, I never thought I could come this far without the support of the guys. And yeah, thank you.
Prasad, now say a few words on behalf of
Just on behalf of Savita and Praveen's friends, I'd like to thank the coroner and the jury and the Gardaí for what they have done, for their time and patience and their effort. And it's still mind-boggling to all of us how a person goes into a hospital walking and comes out in a box for something that was entirely preventable death. As Dr. Peter Boylan also stated, you know, her life could have been saved. And the role of hospitals or medical personnel is to change the natural history of the disease, and that didn't seem to have occurred. You know, the nature took its course without any significant intervention. So we don't have Savita today, and if she was treated properly, I mean, this has nothing got to do with pro-abortion or anti-abortion or anything like that. You know, all she needed was treatment. If she was treated properly, we wouldn't be here. We would be doing something else today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.